This is the feast of Saints Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael, archangels. Today's gospel from John shows Jesus telling Nathanael that he will see greater things than Jesus seeing Nathanael under the fig tree. Jesus says, "You will see heaven opened and angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man." The reference is to Jacob's dream in Genesis, in which Jacob saw a staircase to heaven with angels ascending and descending on it. It's the basis for the spiritual "we are climbing Jacob's ladder." Our first reading from Daniel recounts a vision of the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven, receiving dominion, glory, and kingship. And today's Psalm 138 sings God's praise in the presence of the angels. Although angels are not usually named in the Bible, the three we honor today have special roles. Michael is named the protector of Israel in Daniel, as well as the one who leads the faithful to victory over Satan in Revelation. Raphael is known for guiding Tobit's son on a journey to find a wife, and then healing Tobit's blindness. And finally, there is Gabriel, one we know well for Gabriel's role in announcing the birth of John the Baptist to Zechariah and the Annunciation to Mary. Each of these archangels is seen as a special messenger of God's. But what do angels and archangels have to do with us? I think if we see them as God's messengers, then one is tempted to wonder whether or not there are similar messengers today. Well, surely we know God does not need a messenger. God can speak directly to us, and indeed we are encouraged to foster a direct relationship with God in our lives through prayer. Yet, it seems to me it is possible that God also sends us messengers which we may or may not heed, depending on our attentiveness and our ability to listen well to recognize what God might be telling us. In my imagination, I consider Mary. What was she doing at the time of Gabriel's visit? We don't know. She could have been praying, but she could as well have been engaged in many household chores and obligations of a young woman, both in the home and the community, sweeping the floor, preparing a meal, drawing water from the well. Whatever it was, Mary must have been extraordinarily attentive to the movements of God in her life in order to recognize Gabriel as a messenger from God. So I ask then, how can we recognize and be attentive to messengers that God might be sending us? Who might such a messenger be? Friend? Family member? Community? Even a movement? And what might the medium for the message be? And lastly, are we ready to hear? Even if the message is unwelcome, possibly a message that might turn our worldview or our opinions upside down. I think the challenge for us is to slow down, difficult as that is, and become quiet, to listen attentively in order to recognize God's messengers. And then, through thoughtful reflection and prayer, discern what it might be that God is asking of us. May we each, in our own way, listen carefully before judging whether or not what we hear is truly from God, and then pray for the courage to follow where God is inviting us. May we also be open and non-judgmental as we seek, individually and together, to hear God's voice in whatever form God chooses especially during these challenging times.